What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys because, of course, it is time to talk Harpie. It is time to look at Harpie, and I'm sure many of you could not have waited for me to do some Harpie funsies. Now, with the month of Mai coming to its end, I do want to state one thing. Thank you guys so much for watching the Harpie stuff. Thank you guys so much for getting involved with the shorts. I really do appreciate it. Now, with that in tow, I know we're all going to be very excited next year because, well, while it's Rush Duel, Harpies are getting stuff for Rush Duel. And we feel very much neglected here in the TCG OCG because we would love to have Harpie support for the TCG and OCG that focuses on Harpies. Especially after the fact that at the time of this recording, I did just record all the stuff for Speed Duels, and Mai got some really cool cards and skills to help out with Harpies in Speed Duels. Especially when you're looking at Harpie's Kaleidoscope and Tribal Synergy, which would be great additions to the Harpie archetype, and things that can come if you did combine Harpies with other archetypes. Now, with that in line to say, I have to be brutally honest, Harpies are on the casual scene. They are decent enough to be on the casual scene. And I say decent enough because while we have a lot of issues that definitely need to be fixing, Harpies still can manage to keep up with a lot of those, road to casual decks. But in terms of meta and doing all of that, it's not going to be possible. As you can definitely see, we've had tons of retrains, we've had tons of reprints, and still nothing has stuck out for the most part. We're doing well on Duel Links, we're doing decent in Master Duel. I've heard we're doing great over in Rush Duel. But TCG, OCG, baby, I hate to say it, and someone has to just rip the band-aid off. We are not going to be as competitive as we were years ago. We tried our best, we had a lot of things hit or miss, but things just are not panning out when we have decks nowadays that can launch out 15 different Omni negates and everything that we could throw at them gets negated because we don't have 100% solid support. We don't have a lot of we don't have our own negation, we don't have our own defenses. We don't have a lot of cards that we can utilize to do a lot of the things that most decks or archetypes are doing now. And mind you, considering the fact that Harpies have been one of Konami's first in the long range of things that has to do with archetypes, it's like, damn, you thought they would give Harpies some more love. We get it, we're not Blue Eyes, we're not Dark Magician, or we're not Red Eyes, but you could at least have gave one of your iconic DM era, thriving female archetypes that started your game even during Bandai at least some more retrospective and support. But unfortunately, it just didn't pan out that way. So while we are sticking to that lineup of things, and of course just trying to be positive in that sense, I am definitely just looking at things overall, not with a grain of salt, but with at least a smile, that we at least have our cards that we have now. So, with that in tow, I'm going to go ahead and get through this deck profile, because at least I got a bulk of what I wanted to talk about in the first 3 to 4 minutes. So, with my deck lineup, I am starting off here. 3 copies of Harpie Channeler, that's followed up by 3 copies of Harpie Perfumer, and then 3 copies of Harpie Lady 1. From there, I'm running 2 copies of Harpie Oracle. She's followed by 3 copies of Harpie's Pet Dragon, Fierce on Fire. Then 1 Harpist, 1 Sisters, and funny enough, 2 copies of Tempest, the Dragon Ruler of Storms, and of course, 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So that is it for the lineup of the monsters. We're going to then go on into the spells. Hold on, because I want to make sure this is organized. I like to keep my stuff organized. Okay, now we're going to go on into our spells. Triple copies of Hysteric Sign. Triple copies of Elegant Egotist. 1 Honey Ground. 1 Duster. 1 Harpist. 1 Rest. 1 Alluring. And 2 Swallow's Nest. Alright, from there, I'm then going to move into, the trap cards. Triple Imperm, Triple Storm, and Double Party. Alright, that is it for the main deck. It's a total of 40 cards. Then for the extra deck, 2 Cyber Slashes, 1 Conductor, 1 Winnie, 1 Harvest Vulgar. Then we have 1 Fairjeet, 1 IP, 1 SP, 1 Access Code, 1 Harpie's Pet, 1 Chidori, 1 Ice Beast, 1 Mecha Phantom Beast, 1 Ray Raptor, and 1 Zeus. Alright, and that is basically it for everything. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go through the extra deck first because these seem to be the easiest things to go through, but don't get enough time when I do a deck profile. Cyber Slash Harpie Lady is one of our highest level and most utilized extra deck monsters, being able to return cards on the field back to the hand when a spell, trap, or an effect targets a card on the board. Now, while this seems a bit limited on certain things, it's still relatively good when you want to disrupt combos, and still gives a good place for Harpies as being a target of a level 5 or higher Harpie monster to definitely utilize some of the other Harpie's abilities like Oracle and Perfumer, and even Harpie's Feather Rest. Harpie Conductor takes the lead in being the first and currently the only Harpie Link monster, with her ability to protect your Harpie monsters from being destroyed by battle card effect by simply destroying your own spells and trap cards, which triggers a lot of the newer age Harpie spells and trap cards abilities, going from range of Hysteric Sign to Alluring Mirror Split, and even some random rogue spells and trap cards that you can utilize as well to gain their beneficial effects when they're in the graveyard. Harpie Conductor definitely has, while it's only one slot, it's still an important slot for her utility. Winnie the Wind Charmer Verdant. I actually like Winnie because she does one thing, and that's taking Joel and Lockbird from the graveyard and using it against your opponent to then give you the ability to then special summon some of your own monsters and some of your own fleet from the extra deck. There is a handful of cards, but I'll be very honest with you, while the pool of Link 3 monsters is still very short in some aspects, I would love it for it to be, a lot more than what it is. And let's also be honest, I would love for us to go and get back some more Bird of Sovereignty. But that also opens up a can of Ray of Worms as well, which sucks, I know. So for the meantime, we have to unfortunately play with Harvest Vulgar, the Desperate Doom Eagle. While the only real thing that I can say about Harvest Vulgar is its ability to return cards in the graveyard back into the deck, can disrupt some plays here and there. It's a wind lock link monster, and while I'm saying that looking at some of these, the thing is that when you start link climbing, there aren't too many options of doing that unless you use Winnie, or you somehow get Fairjeet to turn herself into a wind monster, which that's not happening. And because of the fact that, well, out of all the attributes that the Beast Family support was using, the Tri-support setup did not have anything in terms of looking at wind for any utility, because Nerval, the monster who's part of the Tri-Brigade, didn't get a Link variant of himself, still hasn't gotten a Link variant of himself, unless you want to catch Shirag, the Ominous Omen, but even then, Shirag is dark and not wind. So, yeah. Speaking of Tri-Brigade, there is Fairjeet who gets her usage in this deck to help with some extended play. IP Masquerena to swiftly go into Link monsters during our opponent's turn. IP Masquerena. I know, many of you guys are very excited that I actually have this. So am I, because of the fact that it was reprinted in the Bonanza. So I was able to finally get one. And she cool. She not bad. She cool. It's one of the issues of, wow, extra deck monsters should not be this expensive, and I shouldn't have to wait over a year for a reprint. But hey, things happen. Access Code Talker, of course, to just be a board-ending monster. Phantasmal Dragon, because with all else fails, you just rank 3. You get 3 and you rank into it, and then you just start, getting rid of. You just start checking at your opponent's life points. Chidori, Zero Fine, have definitely been 2 standout stars to help support the Harpies when it comes to extra deck monsters. When we're playing those rank 7 plays, Draco Sack has never been a flop. And Arsenal Falcon has definitely been some usage as it helps extend more plays as well. And then there's also Zeus, which Zeus's main drive to this is just get rid of things that are already on the board and just pop himself on top of any exceed monster that you happen to have on the field that you don't have much use for after that. Now that I've gone through basically my extra deck, it is time to go ahead and go into the main. While I'm going to keep it very short and sweet for most aspects of my extra deck, my main deck, I think the bulk of this will definitely just be taking a look at Old Boy Tempest. So, triple channeler to discard a card from a harpy from your hand to special summon harpy monsters from your deck, and then being able to special summon those harpies except for herself. If you control some dragons, you can change her level to 7, which also utilizes that aspect of harpies. Where the rank 7 and rank 4 plays have definitely been accessible thanks to Harpie Channeler. So everybody give an applause for Harpie Channeler for literally being the one harpy to help rescue the archetype. Harpie Perfumer. When normal or special, you can search your deck for cells and traps and specifically list Harpie Lady Sisters in the text from your deck to your hand. Now, if you control a level 5 or higher Harpie monster, then you're able to add an additional card but with a different name. While this seems great in some aspects, the issue is that on the execution of it is where it falls into fruition. We don't have a big array of things that can easily be summoned. While those things are summoning a bull, they're limited to certain things already being present on the field. We're encased in tow. While we love our fearsome fire blast, we love our cyber slash harpy lady, and we love our harpy lady sisters, getting them to the board has to be the priority. And even in some cases, you'll have to utilize or waste things in order for that to happen. For a Perfumer in that case, if she's on the field and there's not another higher level harpy, even through Chandler's ability, Dragon, and even Cyber Slash, then you're 9 out of 10 going to be just searching for one card. There are some utilities and things that help to jump that, yes, but you're still 9 out of 10 going for just one card instead of the possible 2. And there are workarounds, but even then, you have to have things on the field or set up already for those workarounds to be beneficial. Harpie Lady 1, and in the sense of the cards that are always shooters Harpie Lady, I normally go back to this one for the additional attack boost. If you don't want to play with Harpie Lady 1, that's perfectly fine. There is still Cyber Harpie and the Vanilla Harpie Lady if you want to play around with those combinations of things. Moving from there, I'm now going to go into the 2 labs, which are fairly simple. They're just Harpie Oracle and Harpie's Pet Dragon Fearsome Fire. 2 monsters that, ironically enough, rely on the other in terms of levels to be on the field. Oracle is like Perfumer, where she can get cells or traps as well as Harpie Lady Sisters in their text to your hand. But she gets them from the graveyard and has to do it on the end of the turn in which she's no more special. And she doesn't get you 2, she only gets you 1. But her beneficial effect in another case is that if you control level 5 or higher Harpie monster, you can special summon her from your hand. And while both of these are locked behind being once per turn abilities, they're actually still pretty decent for a lot of the combo plays that you can get, especially when you want to go into some higher rank monsters or into extending the board to get into some other pieces to establish a board. While Harpie's Pet Dragon Fearsome Fire Blast takes the spot and replaces the original Harpie's Pet Dragon, while being a monster who can be special summoned while you control a level 6 or lower win monster, opening place for decks to utilize Cyber Slash Harpie Lady. There is the thing that cuts into it of its ability to send a Winged Beast monster from your deck to the graveyard when it's sucked from the field to the graveyard, which in toes helps out with 2 things: Harpie Harpist or Tri-Brigade Nerval. Being able to activate Nerval's effect in the graveyard, or then being able to use Harpist on the end phase to then go get a monster from the deck. While the only other beneficial ability that this monster has is kind of one of those gimmicky abilities, where if you control a Harpie monster, your opponent cannot select, while it's on the field, your opponent cannot select level 6 or lower Harpie monsters for an attack. It's kind of just a mediocre variant of what Phantasmal Dragon does, and kind of more so of a level range buff a level range effects for Harpie's pet baby dragon. It's not really something I would viably use because it's still a lot of strings to things, and even then, most battle phases, people are wiping out cards before they get there. So, it's safe to say now, I'll just be honest, it's a mediocre setup for an ability of a monster that you're going to most likely 2 out of 3 use all of its other abilities for. While both of these two monsters are still decent enough, it's just unfortunately there's a lot of issues with a monster already being present in order for them to be utilized in their abilities, which means these are things that come through once you start doing combos or going through your combos to get your board set up. Which is why I run 2 of them, because of the fact that it's still some promise, but it's not that much of a promise where things need to be, that settled. Moving on from there, we do have the one of Harpies, that is Harpie Harpist and Harpie Sisters. Sisters because of them being the Elegant Egotist target, the level 6 that you can utilize for abilities, and just an all-around monster. Harpists can search for your Harpies who are winged beasts with 1500 or less attack that are level 4 when she's sent to at the end of the turn when she was in the graveyard because she was sent that turn. Mediocre in terms of the deck, but at least it recovers things for your follow-up plays. And she's a good discard target for things like Harpie Channeler and Hysteric Party. Other than that, that's pretty much it. And Sisters has always been one of those I love-hate relationships because she can be a brick, but still can be utilized for a lot of things in the card game. Alright, moving on from there is to now talk about Tempest. Tempest, the Dragon Ruler of Storms, and while I make this very brief, my love-hate relationship with Tempest is simply because Tempest doesn't really offer much. While trying to test out Tempest as much as I can because someone suggested Tempest, I'm going to be very honest to say this. In the long run, Harpies don't need Tempest because Tempest does not really do much in benefits or gives benefits to Harpies. While the only standalone things are that it searches for pet dragon and adds it to the hand, or being a monster who can be summoned to a channeler and being a level 7, there should be no reason for you to banish your own monsters unless you're going to be finding a way to bring them back, and this is a deck that utilizes its graveyard to its fullest extent. While Tempest tends to want to act like it's being an extender, it's more so of being a burden or a nuisance, and a deck that doesn't need that type of utility unless there's going to be ways to follow up behind it. As you can see, I'm not running stuff like the Rumor Doll in them to really benefit off of a monster like this, and even so, the rank 7 pull can kind of stand on its own because Harpies can still go get Dragon without happening to niche. And even then, we have a rank 4 pull that still is beneficial to us. So unfortunately, while people are probably excited to see me run Tempest, this monster is not staying long in the extra deck for all the reasons that in the main deck for all the reasons I just stated. With that in told, the only other thing is Ash Blossom as my choice of hand trap, because unless someone's going to give me $350, no Charmy cards are not getting here anytime soon, and better hope the reprints are worth it. Alright, moving on from there are the spell cards. Hysteric Sign, because this card allows us to get our Harpie cards to our hand during the end of the turn in which it was sent from hand or field to the grave. In addition to that, this is a card that allows us to get Elegant Egotist from our deck or graveyard to get the extended plays that we need off of it. Which, speaking of, Elegant Egotist allows us to summon Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sisters and benefit from a card that is not once per turn, but only needs a Harpie Lady on the board. While a lot of range of Harpie decks playing between Harpie Lady 1, Cyber Harpie Lady, and even Harpie Lady Sisters, and the vanilla Harpie Lady tend to run around with those things. There are a lot of, it's one of those things where we need a Cyber Dragon S monster to really benefit from this from the spell to really turbo out things. It's still one of the Harpie's best such summon capabilities, but it is still locked behind the fact that Konami ruled Harpie Ladies 1, 2, 3, Cyber Harpie Lady, and Vanilla Harpie Lady the way they did. Not in Rush Duel, because they got benefits there. From there, we have the one-ofs and massive spell and trap removal between Harpie's Feather Duster and Hysterics, and Harpie's Hunting Ground and Harpie's Feather Duster. We have Alluring Mirror Split and Harpie's Feather Rest. Alluring Mirror Split, for the most part, is just a, pop this to go special summon a Harpie from the grave, while Harpie's Feather Rest is our pot of avarice. And the only way you can get the two of is, of course, by having a Harpie monster who's level 5 or higher. Yay. So, and it locks you into wind. But being locked into wind isn't much of an issue till you want to start link climbing. So most of your best bets is to probably sit on Harpie Conductor and Cyber/Harpie Lady to mess around with them. Swallow's Nest, just to get out of dodge in those sensitive cases in which you don't want your monsters to be Veilered or Ash, and trying to get out of, well, actually, no, they can still be Ash, but you just want to get out of the way of things like Veilers or, things that would negate your monster's effect. Alright, there we go. Now, that is all my spells, and then going into the last bit of this video is the trap cards. Because we're not maining Veiler in the main deck, Infinity Impermanence has definitely been a good insight for Harpies for terms of negating things and negating abilities. Harpie's Feather Storm, same thing. But mind you, this is Feather Storm, so you can play this card during your opponent's turn or your turn when you have a Harpie monster. The other benefit to this as well is because of the fact that because you're running Harpie monsters, you can, play this card from your hand without having its issues, which is great. It's a lot of benefits to this card. But I also remember when a year or two ago, where people said this was kind of damning how Feather Storm became such a utilized card, but it's not utilized in the archetype that it's meant for. And even then, so it has a lot of pros and cons to it. But its major pro is monster negation, which is something we don't have. We don't even have spell and trap negation, which after all this time, you would have thought Konami would have gave Harpies some type of spell or trap negation. And no, they didn't. They let us high and dry. And then the only other card to talk about is Hysteric Party, which is just our massive way special summoning our Harpies and bringing them to the board. So, alright, with that in told, this is a long video, and it's going to be a long upload, but I do appreciate you all being here for the video itself. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. There's going to be a lot more things to come next month, and I still have a lot of videos to upload at the time being. So, thanks for everyone for watching. If you have anything you would like to ask me, go ahead, comment section right there. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, as you can help, as that helps tremendously, especially when you subscribe, because it really shows YouTube that you're watching and that my content's doing well. Hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload any content. Socials are in the description box below, and of course you can check out more content with the playlist and video setup at the end. Thanks everyone for watching. HVJ signing out. Take care.